A car with explosives was rammed into a synagogue near Detroit before the driver stepped out with a rifle and opened fire. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but that gunman is now dead. And it comes as synagogues and the Jewish community across the United States have been on high alert ever since the war with Iran started nearly 2 weeks ago. Joining us now is Ron Halber, the CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington. Ron, I said I hope that we don't always end up meeting in this way, talking after these kinds of awful things occur. But here we are again. Obviously, what we're seeing out of Michigan is so disturbing. Can you walk us through what you're hearing from Jewish families who are processing yet another attack on a synagogue?
I think one person put it very well when they said that Detroit is just going to join the long names of cities and other localities in the United States whose name has unfortunately become synonymous with anti-Semitic attacks.
What does this fear look like on a very practical level for people right now?
Well, it means that when our members of our community go to synagogue, or when parents bring their kids to school, or when they take access of our services, people are looking over their shoulder with a little bit sense of trepidation to, at any moment, worry that something could happen to them. I think most people um, process it, move on, but always have a little bit of sense of the unknown that they carry with them, which makes life a little uncomfortable when they're going into Jewish institutions, even as they try to go about living their lives Jewishly and proudly.
Yeah, you talk about that balance. I wonder, how do you keep that balance so that you're able to both preserve safety and a sense of normal religious and communal life?
Well, that's always been the task at hand. How do you balance safety and accessibility? And unfortunately, we've become quite expert in years at doing so, so that we have security in place that makes sure that can help any congregants or constituents in the event of an emergency, but simultaneously be a welcoming environment. The Jewish community nationwide spends over $750 million protecting its institutions, which is just poor. Which is just a state of the poor times we live in.
Mm. I just want to reinforce for folks, as someone who grew up in Detroit, that this incident took place in West Bloomfield, Michigan, which is just outside of Detroit. But these incidents don't have borders when they happen, right? The impact is significant. And so I wonder, beyond law enforcement, what do you need most from neighbors, from faith leaders, from local leaders here right now? Are there
Well,
some, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I think you raise a very strong point. There's two things we need. One is we need people to express their outrage. We need to hear from our interfaith partners. We need to hear from leaders of every sector of society. And what we really need is to hear people pushing back against the likes of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who are just right-wing lunatics who feed anti-Semitism, and from people on the left, like the Democratic Socialists of America, who feed anti-Semitism on the left with their conspiracy theories. What happens is that they accuse Israel of genocide, of which is an absolutely false, ridiculous claim. They accuse the United States of being dragged into war by Israel, as if a country of 10 million people that is dependent on the United States for military support has such power. And what happens is, as you hear more and more of this being repeated on social media, and people don't step in to push back against extremism on both sides, it manifests itself in the minds of many people who are maladjusted, and then they take horrible action like this. So terrible speech can lead to hate. And I believe that we have to push back against this hate. And the second thing is that Congress has been sitting for over a year on a bill that would provide $1 billion to nonprofit houses of worship across the country, not just Jewish, but to others at risk of hate crime, so we can hire the police, so we can increase our security. One of the things that Congress and state governments have to understand the most is that you can give us money for capital renovations all the time, but in the end, today, what stopped this from becoming even a worse incident? Hired, trained, off-duty police officers who killed the assailant before they could hurt any children. And that's what we need money for police officers to stand guard at institutions to prevent people from getting hurt.
Well, I'm sad that we're having this conversation because there's been yet another attack, but always welcome your insight. Ron Halber, CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.